Here's Brodie Brazil.
Well, this piece of advice might go against what the textbook has told you, but what if I'm here to say that you should never fly over a checkpoint? I mean, it's right there on your screen. Don't ever fly over a checkpoint? Why would I tell you this? Isn't that what VFR flight planning is all about? Isn't that the purpose, to have ground references so that you know where you're going and you fly over them to go from point A to B to C, ultimately to D, to your destination? Yes, having them as references is important, but I'm here to say don't ever fly over a checkpoint. And here's why. This is Livermore Airport in the San Francisco Bay Area, Class D, pretty popular. It's where I used to do a lot of flying, and eventually it's where I worked as a flight instructor. So there's the airport right there, but let me also call your attention to the visual checkpoint of Brushy Peak. There it is in blue, the arrow, also the magenta flag sticking up. Brushy Peak is where you would call in on an initial call for landing, or it's someplace that pilots would eventually turn to on a right downwind departure from runway 25 right, which I'll get to in just a second, but there's a number of different purposes for Brushy Peak. Here's what it actually looks like on the ground. No, not our cow friend down there. I'm talking about in the distance, not the small one to the right. See the big one to the left? That is Brushy Peak. It's very easy to spot and see from the air. Obviously, even from the ground here, you can pick it out no problem. So from the air, it contrasts well to everything. It's dark, it's brushy, bushy, brushy, whatever, on the ground. So it's easy to see. It's easy to use as an aiming point. Let's point our nose right there and fly right over Brushy Peak. But again, do you really want to fly right over Brushy Peak knowing that everybody else might be flying over Brushy Peak? In the red is a right downwind departure from runway 25 right. That's how a lot of VFR flight plans start. Make my right downwind turn. That's my first checkpoint, Brushy Peak. Also, like I said, it's usually a call-in point for somebody who wants to make a landing at Livermore. Oh, that's in blue. Do you kind of notice there? Two airplanes pointing towards the same direction, sometimes at similar altitudes. And I understand a mid-air collision is a very rare occurrence, but why would we even ever set ourselves up for that type of situation? Why are we doing this? Uncoordinated traffic to common places at similar altitudes. Do you get it now? This is why I'm suggesting fly next to the checkpoint. Do you think the controller needs you absolutely right over Brushy Peak when you call in for runway 25 right? Livermore Tower, 1234 Alpha, landing 25 right with information Bravo, 4000 right now over Brushy Peak. Do you think they need you right over that spot on their screen? No. You could be right next to it. It could be right out your window, but if you understand that everybody's aiming to fly right over it, why would you do the exact same thing? Checkpoints, by the way, they're not just these visual ones on the map. It could be an airport, midfield, a nav aid, right? That's a very popular one because it's very precise. If you're just tracking a nav aid for fun or practice and you're at a fixed altitude, an even or an odd or a 500 or not, how do you know somebody else isn't also doing the same thing? They are fixed, known locations on the ground. GPS fixes, landmarks, anything popular, whether it exists on the ground or it's a fix, virtually with GPS in the air. Why would you want to go to the same identical spot at a possible similar altitude? So, quick piece of advice. Think about that for a second. This might be new to you. You might be going, oh yeah, it's actually a good idea. It sounds crazy. When you tell it to somebody at first, they're going to say, where did you hear that from? But explain what I just explained. You don't want everybody flying right over the checkpoint. Have it off your wing. Right side, left side, doesn't matter. You're in the vicinity of the checkpoint. That's all that really matters when you call up. I'm not saying 5 miles away or even 3 miles away. If you're around it, that's where you should be. Thumbs up on this video if it provided you any value, and subscribe to this channel for more content coming your way just like this.